Hi, I'm Amy from Amy Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make these darling mini wallets. These are perfect for adding to lanyards or attaching to backpacks. They have two pockets inside, one that can hold your cash and the other that holds coins. They are great for taking on trips or having around for the summertime, perfect stocking stuffers or gift ideas. I hope you'll join me today as we sew our cute little lanyard mini wallets. To begin making our mini wallets, you're first going to cut your fabric. For the outside of your mini wallet, it's best if you use a non-directional fabric since it's going to be folded over to create the flap. So I am using this floral for my exterior and this text print for my lining. You can see on the inside I've done the same on this one, and it's super easy to keep the text or any directional fabric going the right direction for the lining, but for the exterior of the wallet, it gets flipped over, so it's much easier if it's a non-directional print. Before I go any further, if you would like the printable version of this pattern, if you head to my blog at the link in the description below, you can sign up for my newsletter. And signing up for this, it's part of my summer sewing series, and you will receive emails every week, including PDF downloads for fun, quick, and easy summer sewing projects, including this mini wallet and the chapstick holder that we'll make in another video. So if you sign up for the newsletter, you will get the PDF version of this emailed straight to your inbox. All right, let's keep going. We have our two pieces cut for our exterior and our lining. We're also going to need two pieces of fabric for the pocket. These are going to be cut at 4.5 inches wide and 3 inches tall, and you will need two of those. And then you'll also need a piece of fabric for the D-ring strap to hold that D-ring in place so you can attach it to your lanyard or your keychain or whatever. This is 2 inches high by 3 inches wide. But you can adjust the size of this piece of fabric depending on the size of the D-ring that you're using for your mini wallet. I really like using either a 3/4 inch to 1 inch, I think this is a 3/4 inch, or a 1/2 inch D-ring. And so depending on the size of the D-ring you choose, you will want to make sure that this piece of fabric is wide enough that when it's folded into fourths, then you will have plenty of fabric to create that strap for your D-ring. The last thing that you're going to need is interfacing. Your interfacing is going to be cut just a little bit smaller than your fabric. I usually like to go 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch smaller. If you go a 1/2 inch smaller, it allows for you to not have any bulk in your seam allowances. So if your sewing machine gets a little finicky with too many layers, you may want to go a 1/2 inch shorter. Otherwise, you will cut your interfacing for your body of your wallet down to 4.25 by 8.5. And then the interfacing for the pocket will be 4.25 by 2.5. And that will give you a good size of interfacing. The reason that we cut these a little bit smaller than your fabric pieces is it allows for you to fuse it to the fabric without worrying about getting any adhesive onto your iron as you're going. And I really like adding the interfacing to these. I find that medium weight is plenty for it, but it gives it just enough body and structure that the wallet holds its shape really well. It also helps it wear really well. All right, now that we have all of our pieces cut, we are going to get assembling. The first thing that I like to do is fuse my interfacing. You're going to fuse it to the wrong side of the exterior, what will be the exterior of your wallet. So in this case, I have this cute gingham and I have it centered and fused. So you will center your interfacing, then you'll pick it up and flip it over and fuse it. You want to make sure that you follow the manufacturer's instructions for that. Sometimes they want you to use steam, sometimes they don't want you to use steam, and you make sure you check the heat settings too. That way you can get a really good adhesion to your fabric with your interfacing. We're going to set those couple aside for a moment. You're also going to want to fuse your interfacing to the wrong side of one piece of your pocket fabric. It doesn't really matter, but if you're using two different fabrics for your pocket fabric, I would fuse it to the one that's going to be the outside or the visible part of your pocket. It just adds a little bit more smoothness, I guess, to the look of the wallet. And then we are going to press our strap for our D-ring. So to begin, you will take it and press it in half along the length. Now I am using one that is going to go on a 1/2 inch D-ring, and that's why I'm going this direction. You could also press it this direction depending on the width of your D-ring. So you just want to make sure that whichever way you're going to end up with a piece that is the size of your D-ring, wherever you end up. And then you want your length to be at least 2 inches. In this case, my length is going to end up being 3 inches, just so that you have some room as you go to put it into your wallet. I'll show you when we get to that step, but there's a couple of reasons why I like to have a little extra length to my D-ring strap. All right, we're going to take it, press it in half along the direction that you want. You'll open up that fold, and then you're going to bring your 2 raw edges in to that crease, and then you'll press it just like that so that they come together in the middle. Then you are going to refold that first crease. So what we're doing is just capturing those raw edges on the inside of our strap. Then you will take this to your sewing machine and you are going to sew down both sides using a edge stitch just to secure those 2 sides into place and give you a nice finished edge to your D-ring strap. Then you're going to take your pocket piece and you are going to sew along the top and the bottom using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You want to make sure that you back stitch at the beginning and the end so that when you go to turn this pocket piece right side out, that those stitches don't pull away and create a problem for getting your pocket turned and everything accurate the way you want it. Once you have those sewn, then you're going to take your pocket piece and you're going to turn it right side out. And with that interfacing, it's going to be a little bit stiff, which is totally fine. Just take your time and go slow so that you don't, again, pop all your stitches out. And then you want to, I like to use my fingers and I will roll that seam in between my fingers to get it nice and even with my stitch line. And then you're going to take that to your iron and press both sides. Now we are going to get ready to start assembling our wallet. You will take your lining and your exterior and put them right sides together, and then you'll take the pattern piece for that and you'll round the top 2 corners. So again, you want to pay attention if you are using any directional fabric that the direction part that is the top, especially if it's the lining, it needs to be the top. Now if this is going to be, if you are using a directional fabric, then you want, for your exterior, it will be opposite of that. So this is why it's really a lot easier to just keep the exterior, especially a non-directional fabric. Now that we have the exterior of our fabric with the corners rounded, we're ready to add our pocket. You'll take your pocket piece and you'll top stitch along the top of your pocket. And again, if it's a directional fabric, make sure it is at the top. Then you're going to measure 3/4 of an inch from the bottom and you will place the top of your pocket there. And then you will edge stitch down the bottom of your pocket, securing it to the exterior of your mini wallet. Then you're going to take your D-ring strap and you'll slide your D-ring onto it. And again, this is a cute little 1/2 inch D-ring that I just think is so fun. And then you'll fold it and have the D-ring in the center. Then with the D-ring towards the middle of your wallet, you're going to measure up 5 1/4 inches on this right side here. This is just a personal preference. It really doesn't matter which side you put it on. And you're going to line up your D-ring strap. Now, I talked about earlier how I like my strap to be a little long. And the reason I like to do that is because I like to be able to make sure that my strap is perpendicular to the side of my wallet. And so a lot of times what I'll do is use my cutting mat and the guides on there to help me keep this straight. And then the other tip that I have for keeping this straight is to use 2 pins to secure this into place. When you go around to sew the edge of your body, you're coming up on a lot of fabric right here, and it tends to kind of shift it a little bit. So if you have a bit sticking out here, you can make sure that your D-ring strap stays perpendicular and straight. So as you're placing this, you just want to make sure that you keep in mind you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. So you could shift this, you probably have a little bit of play in there, but just make sure you're keeping in account your 1/4 inch seam allowance and give yourself enough space to easily sew past it without running into interference from the metal part of your D-ring. So that's just a tip I have there to make sure that this extends over at least probably a generous 1/2 inch, closer to 3/4 of an inch, just to make sure you have plenty of room as you come through there with your sewing machine, that you don't run into that metal bit. So you'll pin this into place. You have your pocket sewn down, and then you're going to take your exterior or your lining piece and then put it right sides together. You'll pin it into place and then take it to your sewing machine. And then you are going to sew around it using a 1/4 inch seam allowance again. And you want to make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and ending of your stitching and leave yourself a good 2.5, 3 inch opening at the bottom of your wallet to turn this right side out. You'll want to make sure that you clip the corners, and you also want to clip the curves in the tops of your pocket piece. For this, I really like to use pinking shears, or you can just take a pair of scissors and cut notches into that curve so that this flat piece lays flat. Again, you want to take your time with this as you turn it right side out to make sure that you're not pulling any of the stitches. I also recommend using a blunt turning tool like a chopstick or something to push your corners out and to push your seam out well so that your edges are straight and your corners are perpendicular, and you just have a really nice finish. And then you'll press it really well at your iron, and then it's going to look like this. So you have your wallet, this is the opening of your pocket, and you are ready to go. Make sure when you are pressing under, pressing your wallet, that you press under this opening here that you've left for turning, and press it really well. Do your best to keep that nice and straight and as even as you can. Once you're satisfied with the pressing, then you'll take this to your machine and you're going to just edge stitch across this seam, leaving, closing that opening that you left for turning. Then we are just about ready to finish up our wallet. We are going to fold up the bottom so that the bottom of the pocket lines up with the bottom of our wallet. You want to make sure that the sides of your pocket are lined up well. And then you'll take it to your sewing machine. You'll start stitching at the bottom corner, stitch up and around again using an edge stitch, and then come all the way down to the bottom. Back stitching again at the beginning and ending of your stitching. And I also like to add some back stitches at the tops of this pocket here, because you're going to be getting in and out of this pocket to get change and coins and things like that. You want to make sure that you've reinforced that seam and you're not going to cause any stress or break any stitches there. So once you have this all stitched, then you're ready to add your snap. Now, I really like using plastic snaps for these. I think they have a fun polished look to them. You can totally use metal snaps or anything that you like. In my blog, on my blog, I have a tutorial for 2 additional methods of closures for these, using hook and loop tape or an elastic with a button. And so all of the instructions for that are included on the blog post. And again, I will link to that in the show notes. But this particular pattern, the PDF version of this, is going to only show adding the snap because it's just my preferred method and I think it gives the best finish. But it's easy to find hook and loop tape, so that might be your method of choice. So once you have your wallet all pressed and ready to go and sewn, Now we're ready to add our snaps, and you're going to measure up 1/2 inch from the end of your flap, and I will just use my ruler to do that. And you want to mark the center of that flap 1/2 inch from the edge. I'll make a mark there, and then I'll insert the snap using whatever method you prefer. I will have a video showing how I use the cam snaps, these plastic snaps, but if you're using a different kind of snap, then you will want to follow the directions on the package, or whatever method you're using for the closure on here. But once you've added your snap, both ends of it, then you're finished. One tip that I do have, if no matter what style of snap you're using, is once you've inserted the snap on the flap, then what I like to do is I will fold it over, and then I will put some pressure on the male end of that snap, and it will leave a mark on the pocket piece here of where the female end needs to go. And that just makes it really easy to make sure that it's positioned so that if, when you've been inserting the male end of the snap, if it gets off a little bit or crooked, it will still make sure that it lines up and still gives you a nice good closure on your snap. I hope you've enjoyed this fun tutorial for this mini wallet. It's super easy and fun. Like I said, it holds the coins in because your flap holds over and keeps it in place. It's super lightweight. It's great for kids, great for gifts, stocking stuffers, all kinds of things. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, I hope that you will follow along for more, including the chapstick holder. I also have a tutorial to make your own fabric lanyard with a safety clasp on it. And lots more tutorials coming to my YouTube channel here, so subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram at @amaruni_designs. All the links will be in the show notes. I will talk to you soon. Until then, happy sewing.